All right, we go under the sea as we discover why Trent Seaborn committed to Alabama. We give a full breakdown, and Brody's the man to do it.
Man, Trent Seaborn's a guy that Alabama's been recruiting since Coach Saban was there. This is a guy that, um, you know, grew up very close to the Tagovailoa family. Actually, you know, was born and raised in Hawaii, essentially. Like I said, very close to the Tagovailoa family. Decided to move to Alabama and play at Thompson, which was the same school that Tua's little brother Talia played for. Since he's been at Thompson, he's won 3 state titles for the Warriors, coached by one of the best coaches in the state, if not the country, of Mark Freeman. Trent Seaborn's been a guy that Alabama's had their eye on for quite a while. I know that they've offered several other guys, but obviously they wanted Seaborn to be a part of this class. And, you've heard him talk and his videos and stuff like that. And as you can see that picture right there, I mean, the proof was in the pudding. Like he wanted to come to Alabama back when Tua was playing. So, he's a guy. I think he sees what Ty Simpson's been able to do. He's pretty similar to Simpson. Has a great track record in high school. Simpson did too. His Simpson's dad's a football guy. The Seaborn family, they've been in football for years, really close to his Tagovailoa family. So, he has a background of being around, elite quarterbacks and whatnot, playing at the top level at Thompson. Been an Alabama fan for a long time. Been coming on campus since his 8th grade year when Coach Saban was there. Obviously, Coach DeBoer comes in. Took a little while. I think it was several months ago, Alabama actually extended him an official offer. I think they did some evaluating. This coaching staff didn't want to just jump in and extend offers just to be like, hey, we offered this kid. They actually wanted to take the time to get to know them, get to know their family, see what their coaches have to say, and actually evaluate and assess, their performance. And with Seaborn being right up the road, I'm sure that the coaching staff made several trips up there to Alabaster to watch him play. I know Alabama is also looking to take 2 quarterbacks in the 2027 class potentially. There with Elijah Haven, the 5-star. But nevertheless, it's good to get Trent Seaborn on board. I know that Alabama's quarterback room is going to have a lot of players, but I will say this: that's what you think on the surface, but the fact that he's not coming in, he's still a junior in high school, so he's a 2027 kid. So all next year it will be Jet Tamala, Ty Keelan, Austin Matt Kawa, whatever combination of people that is, and he'll be the next year. And with how college football is so unpredictable, you don't know who's going to be on campus and who's going to be going to the draft. You don't know who's transferring where. So I think getting Seaborn early is a good thing because he continues to form relationships, and has plenty of time to get to know the commits and the players on campus and the families, coaching staff, their families, stuff like that. So I think that was a huge part of it. I know that Seaborn's a very smart kid, very intellectual, and that's something that Alabama's coaching staff certainly likes. In the past they've gotten guys like, I mean, you look at Bryce Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, even Ty. So I know that Alabama really likes, kids that have a history of winning. Who wouldn't? And Seaborn's that guy. And Alabama, gave him the green light to go ahead and commit.
Oh man, like seeing that picture of Seaborn high fiving Tua, like that's so awesome. Oh man,
Oh
like
man,
what
it
year
definitely
was
is.
that? Like that look, it's like let's from 2018, 2019.
It had to be 2018 or 2019. Um, but it was insane. I saw that picture. I was scrolling down his where his photos were, and I was going down. I was like, when did Alabama offer him? To see, because sometimes they'll post a picture of the university or a player or something, and he happened to have Alabama's logo in that picture. So I was like, man, that's awesome. Because I didn't remember seeing that when he initially posted his official offer, to his ex, but I was like, man, I got to post that. That's cool. I want everybody to see that, and he included that in the video, commitment video that he actually posted today, but. The fact that he was coming to Alabama games and he was little, man. That was like 7 years. He was little, and he's grown up since, and he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and there's a reason that he committed to Alabama, for good reason, and Thompson's kind of been, an area that Alabama's recruited in the past. I know they had Jeremiah Alexander, Amari Kite. They recruited Peter Woods out of that area, out of that school. Fagans that actually ended up going to Auburn, but Alabama is trying to. This coaching staff is trying to win the state again. And you look at this class, right? You look at the 27 class alone. Alabama has three of the top commits in the state. I mean, you look at Jatori Williams out of Central Phoenix City, Trent Seaborn out of Thompson, and Alabaster, and then you look at Jabarius Guerra out of Viger down there in Pritchard, Alabama. I mean, Alabama is working. This coaching staff is working not just this 26 class, but this 27 class, and to be able to get Seaborn, as a verbal commit this early on, despite him being an Alabama fan, because there are a lot of Alabama fans that get offered by Alabama but end up committing and signing elsewhere. So I think that's a huge get for Alabama, and I think that Seaborn getting a quarterback this early will also help, recruit in the future because Seaborn's going to be a guy that recruits gravitate towards. He's going to be a guy that receivers in the state. I know he plays with one in Dedrick Kimbrough, who's a 28 receiver that Alabama offered, and several other guys in the state. That Alabama will show interest in, especially in that Birmingham area. Having Seaborn on board is very huge and critical, I think, for especially for the 27 class in the future of the Alabama football program for sure.
Oh man, and like scrolling through these X videos of Trent Seaborn, like where he's like thanking God for the opportunity to come to Alabama and just getting a look back at like his whole life, at how much he loves Alabama, like that's pretty awesome, man. Like I love it.
Yeah, like you're saying, you don't see a lot of kids, especially a 6-minute video. I was like, man, I gotta watch this. This is awesome. Just like you said, to just see so many memories and how much like he actually loved Alabama. And I'm sure people close to him, his family and close friends, they knew he wanted Alabama. But to be able to see that, there just aren't as many kids that are like that nowadays. Even in the state of Alabama, there's a lot of kids that look at NIL as the biggest factor, and Seaborn's a guy that, Alabama didn't really start like I know they were recruiting him, but they didn't really start like you know pushing for a commitment until like the season started this year. After they saw him a few games, got him on campus. This was his second time on campus this year. I think the coaching staff was like, all right, we got to get this kid. He's an in-state kid. He loves Alabama. He's elite. He's won 3 state championships, and he's just a junior in high school. So I think that was one of those situations that Alabama couldn't pass up on. And the fact that he and his family are so close to the Tagovailoas and, love Alabama and admire the university so much. I think that was just the icing on the cake.
Yep, that's a huge win right there. And we'll definitely make sure to bring him on Alabama The Voice College Football for an interview for sure. And it'd be fun to like talk about the history of Alabama football. Trent Seaborn, like I'm willing to bet he would love to hear about the 48 Iron Bowl when the Iron Bowl started back up after 40 years of not playing.
Yeah.
Ooh, I bet that'd be fun.
Yeah.
There we
He's,
go.
yeah.